Hey everyone, so how are you doing, guys? Hope you're doing good. So today we are starting with a new series called Python from 0 to 1. So basically we'll be covering everything from scratch until its advanced topic into Python. Right? In today's video we'll be basically covering the introduction part of Python, and it will be basically covering the basic about Python, its features, and how to write its hello world program, and what application areas are for Python, like in which fields are Python being used, and then its interpreter process and modes of scripting for Python. So let's get started. So basically, what is Python? Python is a high-level interpreted and interactive object-oriented language. It was developed by Guido van Rossum in 1991. So it's been more than 30 years since Python is being used in industry and is still being used and being maintained. It is a very popular language, guys. And Python basically focuses on readability and simplicity. So if you talk about like simplicity, so something which has been written in any language called like Java or something else in 100 lines of code, so same thing can be written in Python in 40-50 lines of code. So that's kind of simplicity of Python is. And it also focuses on readability. So what readability means is like it focuses on this indentation. So that is kind of force indentation which is in Python. So that basically maintains readability. Now let's talk about key features of Python. So Python is a high level language. What high level language means is basically it is very much close to human, unlike its counterparts as which are like kind of low level language which is more close to machines. It is very easy to understand and learn. So because its syntax is very simple and it is very much similar to English, and it is an interpreted language. So what interpreted language means is basically its code or statements get executed line by line. It is not similar to any compiled language where every code is like whole code is get compiled first and then it gets executed. Unlike that, here each statement is executed by line each statement is executed line by line. So that is called interpreted attribute of the language. And then it is very interactive. You can experiment with code snippets like using its interpreter. So you can write a single statement and hit enter, so it will execute one statement, and then you can move on writing other statement. You can experiment. So let's say you are doing some POC, so this interactive session will be very helpful for that purpose. And it is an object oriented language because it supports classes and objects. So you can write your whole Python program using classes, methods, etc., and you can instantiate it. You can create objects out of those classes, and you can apply every mechanism that you have of OOPS concepts. You can apply in Python programs. Okay, so if you talk about like Python hello world, so it is as simple as one statement in Python to write its first program, and that is called hello world. So you just have to use this print statement, and inside bracket and inside double quotes you can write any message which will get printed if you get execute this one statement program. Or if you are using interactive mode, you can just hit enter and it will print hello world on console or standard output. So it is basically a simple program to demonstrate how print function works. Okay, so you can run your first program using an IDE or an interactive mode using terminal. So IDE you can use any like VS Code or Eclipse or maybe anything you want, right? PyCharm is there, one of the famous for Python. Okay, so now let's talk about application areas of Python. So Python is majorly being used in web development using its framework called Django and Flask. So it's used to create a backend REST APIs using these frameworks, and it is also being used by data scientists into data science domains. So its very famous libraries are NumPy and Pandas. And automation. Okay, so that is one of the best, or you can say a majorly used area of Python is in test automation. So basically most of the QA engineers, they make use of Python along with its framework, a very famous framework called PyTest, which to create their framework for test infrastructure. to creating their test to it, and add automated test into it. And then game development. So this library Pygame is there, which we can use to create games using Python. And then scientists also use this language for their scientific work using various libraries, and SciPy is one of those. So that's about it. Okay, so this is one of the important areas that we're gonna discuss, Python interpreter process. So basically, as you know that Python is an interpreted language. So how Python interpreter works, we'll be covering in this slide. So basically, this Python interpreter basically is consisted of two parts, two sub modules called translator and Python virtual machine. So what translation does is it basically translates the actual code into a bytecode, and if bytecode is correct, its syntax is correct, then Python virtual machine will convert the bytecode into the machine code, and then it will get executed and the command will be printed. Okay. And then we will also be discussing the difference between interpreted and compiled language. So Python is an interpreted language where you can see that each statement will get interpreted line by line, while in compiled languages like Java or C, C++, they like whole program will get compiled once and then it will get executed. So there's a difference between compiler and interpreter. And let's move to next slide. Okay, so if you talk about like how you can code in Python, so there are two basically used modes. One is interactive and another one is scripting mode. So what interactive mode is, you can open its interpreter using terminal, or if you're working on Linux or maybe MacBook, and if you're working on Windows, you can open its interpreter directly, where you can execute statement. You can write one statement, then hit enter, and you can execute it, and then another statement is, and so on, right? So that is one for if you're learning, or if you're doing some sort of experiment or POC or something. And then there is this called scripting mode, where you have to use some IDE or some editor where you write your where you create basically your folder structure, and then inside of folder structure you create packages, files, etc. And each file .py file, you'll be putting together your statement inside function, class, etc. And then the whole code will get executed as an app, or a script. So that is another mode. So if you talk about use cases of both the modes, so for interactive mode basically is used for your learning purposes mostly, and for experiment purposes. And scripting mode is where if you want to write the real-time code, or if you want to create some real product or app, so you have to use this scripting mode. So that's about it. And now on conclusion, so basically that was about the Python introduction. And if you have got any question on introduction part, so you can ask those into comment section. Also, if you have any questions, you can also let me know on my email ID shubham.jagdish@gmail.com. so I'll be answering your questions over there as well. And from next video onwards, we'll be like covering Python constructs like control statement, looping mechanism, file handling, and object-oriented techniques like OOPs, classes, objects, etc. and everything about Python from 0 to 1. So we'll be covering the topics as well as its hands-on coding as well. I'll be showing everything. And thank you for your time for this video. And if you loved the video, please like the video and share it with a friend, so that they can also learn with this this series called Python from 0 to 1. And if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe the channel, so that you you get notified. And also please click on that bell icon, so that you get notified whenever new videos are uploaded. So thank you for your time. Thanks. Bye.